What's good, YouTube? Happy Monday, everybody. This is your boy Reg in the building. Got my homeboy Try with me.
What up?
Yes, and just like I said, I'll be doing reviews on the episodes of Unsung this season. Just gonna try some new shit. And today we are going to talk about Morris Day. Morris Day at the time. Now, I knew this was going to be a very good episode because I was a huge fan of the Times music. I know we've done a review of what time is it. We've talked about Purple Rain countless times. I mean, everyone knows Morris Day. Um, would I call him unsung? Not to an extent, because I feel like he carved out an image on his own. Outside of Prince, I know contributed to a lot of people, but just this name Morris Day. It can always come up with a time and stuff like that. Him and Jerome and things of that nature. Yeah. So, what did you think about the episodes when you? I mean, well, you only saw like the first 20 minutes of it.
I thought it was good, and them talking about it, like how he grew up with his sister and his mom, and he never knew his dad, and he made that clear, like he didn't know him, and but his like when his mom got she got remarried, and the stepfather was like a wife beater, unfortunately, and you know she there was his daughter his sister was talking about, like, many times, like she's seen their mom, like with black eyes and bloody noses, and it 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 really messed her up, as as a young kid, and I guess their mom got fed up and said, like, yo, we leaving, and told Morris that they were going to Cali, but they stopped in Minnesota to live with their aunt for like 20 something years, and it's it's a shame, you know what I'm saying? It's like that they had to go through that stuff and see that stuff as young kids, and you know I have a feeling like that probably like drove Morris to become like who he is now, like just going through those, like that ordeal as a kid, and just wanting something better for himself and for his family. I think that's probably what drove him, to be the legend that he is from Minnesota. So I thought that was I never knew that about his family. I don't really know too much about his background except for like the music part. I remember seeing the interview he did with Wendy Williams like a couple months ago, and like when he was promoting his book, actually, and he was talking about, like, when he met Prince, and when he was the drummer of his own band, but he thought he was gonna be the drummer of the band, but he was, Prince told him that he should sing, and the way that he met Prince and everything. Prince already had a drummer in his band, and he wasn't looking for one. So Morris was like, I think he said he was like taking like video footage of the shows and stuff,
Yeah.
and anything to get close to the music and the industry, and then he became the leader of his own band, and took off with the first album with the time, and I never heard the first album. I heard everything else. I believe I heard Ice Cream Castle as well, but I never heard the first album. I gotta hear that one. And I didn't realize that the song Get It Up, TLC did that for the Poetic Justice soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know that, like, all these years. I always remember that TLC, and that wasn't really one of my favorite TLC songs. And I know it was a big hit from that movie, but I didn't realize that that was a time song they did over. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta hear this the first time album now, because I didn't know it was a rendition that they did. And seeing them on Soul Train, and Morris was always cool. He was always like a cool cat, and like, just I remember watching him in Purple Rain. That was like my introduction to him, and seeing him. He was like a real smooth pimp, and I liked when he talked about, like, his grandfather supposedly was a pimp, and man, that's probably where he got it from. Like, from his grandfather, is like in his blood. He's just like born to be smooth and everything, and when I like when he talked about, like when Jerome. joined the band, and he was looking. Morris was looking for like a mirror one day, and Jerome ran to get a mirror,
Yeah.
and he put him in the band since then, and she's like still doing that after all these years, getting paid big money just to hold a mirror for Morris and on stage, and you know and that was good, and to see Jellybean Johnson look so different now. I didn't even realize that was him. Cause he looks like somebody's grandfather now. I'm like, that's Jellybean Johnson. Yeah, I remember when he had Jerry curls and wearing pink suits and all that, and he don't even look like how he used to back then. And I was like, damn, his times has changed. And I saw like the clips with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They were talking, and it was just good. I definitely got to see the rest of it, but the stuff I seen already was, it's unsung. So I know they're gonna always have like the detailing and the info for people's background stories and stuff, and how they got into the business.
Yeah, man, that's a very interesting story right there and stuff like
Right.
that. One thing that kind of interested me was when they were talking about, how Morris wrote the Party Up song for Prince.
Hmm.
That was originally on a Dirty Mind album.
Right.
And because what you guys should know was that Alexander O'Neill, he was the original lead singer of the time. A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they did an unsung on him and Sherelle, which personally, that was a good episode. But I wish they would have done separate unsungs for both of them, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Right.
But yeah, because he didn't really make it into the time because for one, he was in drugs around that time too, and pretty much he don't like to be controlled by Prince. And it
Right.
was this one quote where I think either Jimmy Jam or Jellybean or somebody said that if Prince discovered you, he controls you
Hmm.
pretty much. So
I've heard that before.
yeah, because James Brown was the same way too,
Right.
and Prince looked up to James Brown.
So 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 after all these years, if Alexander O'Neal realized that he wasn't gonna be controlled by Prince, why did all the other artists like decide to stay out to stay around?
Well, because technically, I guess the time was popular. At that time too.
Right.
Sheila E was popular and stuff, and the Paisley Park organization. It was just like the close knit family
Hmm.
in a weird way. So that's just the way I see it.
I mean, because Alexander, he made a name for himself without Prince. So I mean, you would think like shit. Well, if he went off and did his own thing, they would have been thinking the same way. But everybody stayed. Even I've heard stories about the Apollonia Six and Vanity Six and all that, and every artist that he's worked with, they say the same thing. Like he was controlling, and you know what I'm saying. And I'm like, well, how come these people didn't leave like Alexander did? You
So,
know?
well, I think because Alexander did not have a full contract with Prince.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so the rest of them had a full contract.
yeah.
That's what it is. Cause I remember when Morris was talking to Wendy, and he talked about like how like Prince controlled everything for all their albums, so they couldn't do nothing unless without his consent.
hmm
That's
And that's
crazy.
another reason why Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they left. I think like '85 because around that time too, they were working with the SOS band and Sherelle
Right.
and things of that nature. And Prince was like, you can't work with people outside of his organization, and so he just invited them one morning and fired them. And Jimmy Jam, he
Wow.
was cool with it. He just said, okay, that's cool and
Right.
stuff like that.
So he didn't even want them to make money like on their own.
Not like that, nah.
That's retarded.
Yeah. And it's not actually surprising. A lot of artists are like that too,
Hmm.
because if I remember correctly, Holland Dozier Holland from Motown, the people
Hmm.
that wrote like hits for Supremes and the Four Tops,
Right.
they realized that they weren't getting paid like that from Barry Gordy, and they left like around the late '60s too. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Who
crazy.
else? Who else?
So that would explain why like a lot of them wasn't doing anything after because like Apollonia could have been doing films and Vanity and them and they wasn't doing that. Like Prince just had them like on a tight leash.
Yeah, because both Apollonia and Vanity, they had dope acting careers after.
Right,
And Vanity, she became like a born again Christian too.
right, right. I remember seeing Vanity on a episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, she played like a. It was something with a. Well, I think she was like a tattoo artist, and she had tattooed like a tattoo on this guy's chest, and like the tattoo had powers or something like that. And she was like
Oh
dealing
shit.
with voodoo. Yeah, I remember that. That was like in one of the early seasons of Tales from the Crypt. You know, that's crazy. And Sheila E. really is like the only one that's still out there doing it.
Yeah, because Sheila E, man, but she's a
Right,
monster.
right.
Then the Fishnet era when he dropped I want to say second album.
Daydreaming.
Love that song Fishnet.
Yes.
Um, I wish they would have talked more about the Color of Success album. I feel like they kind of breezed right through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that album had a few joints too.
I mean, he probably didn't like it.
Yeah, because he was on drugs around that time too.
Yeah. It's amazing he's still alive, yo.
For real.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Then he got into his beef with Prince
Mm,
by how Prince he took the original name at the time and they went by the original seven.
right.
And I'm gonna be real. As much
Mm,
as I love Prince, respect Prince, one of my all-time favorites. I kind of felt like when it came to music copyright, he talked all that crap about Warner Brothers owning him, owning his
right.
masters, and he pretty much did the same shit with his artists and stuff too.
Exactly. I
Even
was about to
though,
say that. I'm like, this is like it was like a modern day plantation with him, and it's so ironic how he felt like he was a slave to Warner Brothers. You don't want to be controlled by your record label, but you want to control everybody else on your record label.
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't realize all that was going on. Like I'm like, well, a lot of it is making sense now because none of these artists, all of these artists, can still be putting out stuff today, and they all. It seemed like once he died, it's like their legacies died with him because they can't come out with stuff now, right? Because it's all like legally tied to his estate.
oh no, they can still come out with stuff.
Oh, they can still like Madhouse. Was it Madhouse 7 and all that?
Oh, well, that's dead.
Right.
That's been dead for
And
years.
Wendy and Lisa can still come out with stuff now and all that.
Yeah, because
Cause
Sheila
they.
E.
Mhm.
Sheila E. dropped some new music too.
Right. But I was like, I don't hear from the rest of them. Like that girl, the all girl band that he had. Like he did like 2 albums with them. I don't hear from them. Wendy and Lisa, you don't hear from them. You know what I'm saying? It's like where all these artists at now? The new power generation,
Well, I know the New Power Generation. I know that they're still touring. I know the Revolution is still touring.
and they
Cause you
touring
got
with the same name and everything, and they can perform
yeah,
the same songs. Oh,
hmm
okay,
yeah. Because even before the pandemic, the Revolution was touring.
right. That's
But you also
crazy.
got to remember too, with certain artists, they make most of their money on touring now. Because
Right,
certain music changes, music style changes and stuff like that. They ain't popping like they used to pop.
right.
I mean, you can't be like a what's his name, like a Tony Bennett and get
Mm,
Grammys or get notification with everything you release on your field and shit. You know what I'm saying?
right. Well, I mean, he got a Grammy with Lady Gaga for that jazz album.
I rest my case, yeah. Because like Tony Bennett, he's one of those artists like he's timeless, but he reintroduces himself to like a new generation
Right,
every year and
right.
stuff like that. Mind you, niggas like in his 80s and shit too.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. But I don't know, like, and it's a pattern because we seen this with Puffy and Bad Boy. Like everything coming out, he had to have his name on it. Same thing with Jermaine Dupri. Like everybody that have their own label, they have to have their own, stamp on each project for every artist. You know what I'm saying? And but Prince is like, if they tried to work outside of, like his clique, he couldn't, he didn't allow them. Like I don't understand that. Like, how were they supposed to like, you know, become their own artists and evolve if they can't work outside of his his sound or whatever.
Right.
You know, that's really crazy. And Morris, can Morris like still play the drums, or he don't do it no more?
Yeah, he can still play the drums.
He can still play. I've
Yeah,
never seen him play the drums ever.
yeah, they showed some clips in the episode that he can
Oh,
still
okay.
play.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like they should still be doing music now. You know.
I mean, Morris, he's dropping new music with
Yeah,
Snoop
he's
Dogg and
dropping a
stuff.
new album, and yeah, that's good. That yeah, he needs to reintroduce himself to everybody, like the people that used to listen to him, to the new generation. It's good that he's out there again.
Yeah, yeah, man. He talked about the time Prince died.
Right, it's a shame, man. Were they still beefing when he died or no?
No, Prince invited Tommy to play in Paisley Park a couple days before he died and stuff.
Oh wow, I wonder if they did any music together.
You never know.
I would have loved to hear like a Prince and Morris Day album together.
Yeah, that would be
Like
dope.
that would have been great. I'm sure they got music together somewhere.
Yeah, man. But overall, this was a good episode. Nice way to start the season off.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I know next week is Leela James. I don't know too much about Leela James though,
I've
but
heard of her before. I never like listened to her music.
she made that one song I like called "Good Music" or some shit like that.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said,
Uh,
I'm not really too. Oh, go ahead.
mhm. Now I was saying I missed a lot of them from last season. The last one I think I seen was Christopher Williams. I didn't see a lot of the other ones they had.
Yo, last season was good. They had like Sky.
Yeah, I
They
missed that
had
one. I missed.
Shannon,
Yeah,
Goody Mob, Roxy and
I missed
Shante.
that.
It was like a good mix of hip hop and R&B, and then
Mm.
freestyle. I'm not too crazy about the lineup this season. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah,
Like the Keith Washington episode, I might be interested in that one because I don't know
right.
too much about Keith besides that
Me
one
neither. I
episode.
only know that one song he did.
Right, he dropped like one album like in '91, then he didn't come back to like '98 or '97.
Wow.
So I wonder what happened around that time and shit. You know,
He probably was
I'm
on drugs
interested.
and shit.
Hopefully, it's not drugs, but you never know.
Right.
The mystical episode, I'm definitely
Right. I heard
ready
they
for
had
that.
one.
But it's like they putting all the good ones later in the season. I'm just like, I don't want to watch Bobby Valentino. I don't want to watch Life Jennings. I mean, Life Jennings, he can sing, but
Mm.
Unsung, nah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd
They
rather see Jaheim over all of them, to be real with you.
exactly. You know.
Like, Bobby Valentino, what?
I haven't been. I'm not a big fan of his stuff, so
Me neither. Like, he's like one of them 2000s R&B singers I was
yeah.
never really
I'm like this
crazy
dude.
about.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how the hell he became so popular?
It's the internet. It's the internet. That's what made him popular. The early social media back then.
MySpace.
MySpace. Yep. Foursquare.
What's Foursquare?
Foursquare was like Facebook. It was like one of them social media websites you could go to.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't
Foursquare.
last long. They didn't last long.
I can tell.
You know.
Shit, niggas thought Facebook would not last long.
Mm-hmm. For real, right? I left Facebook like 2014, and it's still popular now. You know.
It's like the big three of social media is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's it. That's it. Now you got like OnlyFans people on that shit, and you know Discord,
Snapchat.
Snapchat, right? That's
Well,
still
even
going.
Snapchat's losing popularity.
TikTok, yeah,
Oh yeah, TikTok's one thing right now.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of them got popular because of the internet. Is and he's I think he's one of them. Him, Bobby, and Pretty Ricky. You know,
On a MySpace. Oh my God, pretty Ricky.
yes, Jesus, man. You know,
It's 5:30 in the morning.
I
I'm
think the only like R&B artist like Keisha Cole I liked. I listened to Keisha Cole during that time because she can actually sing. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of them, I was not a big Seattle fan, and Ashante's reign was coming to an end after Gotti went to jail and all that, and I wasn't a fan of a lot of the R&B that was coming out at that time. That just the shit I was seeing on 106 in Park. I was like, oh God, this is crack. What is this? Like people like this is what people call R&B now.
It's your boy Terrence
Yeah,
J.
I wasn't a Neo fan. Like I like Neo's a good songwriter. I just didn't care for his own stuff.
So you didn't like Dream?
Not I never I've seen his stuff. I never listened to a Dream album. And everybody that's told me like, yo, Dream got good albums. He can sing. I never listened to a Dream album. Is he good to you?
I like the Dream.
So you like his albums, the Love Hate album and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll check him out. I mean, I wasn't into him back then, but I remember like seeing him. He did so many collaborations with like Fabulous and this You know what I'm saying? I always seen him like doing collaborations with people. I'm like, I never cared for him though, and he was like big to a lot. Everybody loved him, so I'm like, maybe he's good.
Yeah, man. He was just that mystery kind of guy. He was the weekend before the weekend.
Right,
If that makes sense.
right. And then he got signed to Rockefeller as a producer or something.
Yeah, Rock Nation.
Right. I'm like, shit. Jay-Z sound him. He got to be good, right?
Oh yeah, he wrote stuff for Beyonce too.
Right. Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
know.
he's in the Carter family, low key.
Right. But I never listened to his albums. I'm like, maybe I'll check his album out.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna stand for like 5 more minutes and shit.
Yeah. Mavion, I never cared for him.
I never was a big Omarion fan like that.
I always thought he was a good dancer, but I like to go. I remember when he got signed to MMG. I'm like, really, Ross? You really you signed this dude from? I'm like, oh
B
no,
B2K
Rick
looking,
Ross has lost his mind. Like, what are you doing? You doing that Miami Coke down there? Like, what is going on?
doing that
Never liked the
21.
Mavion. I never liked B2K. So I'm like, I never cared for Mavion solo, and it's like so many other. I'm like, even Life Jennings, like, yeah, he could sing, but I never like he didn't interest me enough to check his albums out. And then he got on Love and Hip Hop. I'm like, oh God, like, what are you doing?
SEX. Think before you
You
let
know,
it go.
Robin Thicke. I listened to some of his albums, like most of the albums up until Bloodlines. I listened to, and they were pretty good. But he always got that 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 hate because they people thought he was like Justin Timberlake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But he can actually sing. Like Robin Thicke was one of the good ones during that time, and I got his first album when he had the long hair. I got the Thick album, and yeah, it was Robin Thicke, Keisha Cole. Those are like the ones that I would listen to at that point as sort of like R&B. Like this is before like The Weeknd came out and Frank Ocean, but I think like the 2000s R&B, like other than the neo soul stuff, like the mainstream stuff was just bad. And I think because of the internet just made them like really popular for no reason. Ray J was still putting out trashy shit.
it had the
Sexy
number
Can
one.
I and One Wish blew up, and I'm like, this is not even a great song like that. Like One Wish was that good?
Thank you.
I'm like, what was so good about that? The video with it is raining in. I'm like, I don't understand that.
R&B singers in the rain. I'm telling you.
And he could sing. Ray J could sing. It's just that again, he became a reality star, and he just like put his all into like the reality shows when he could have been doing great albums. Because I think he could have had a classic album at one point. And I'm like, One Wish, like really, people really love this song, like it's some classic song. I never understood that. And I'm like, God, there was so much trash. If we had to do an episode on 2000s R&B, it would be a lot of shit that I didn't care for.
Oh, I'm down for that.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh boy, the shit that was coming out at that time. I think that's what made me stop buying for a while, just to see the crap that was coming out. I'm like, you know what? Let me take a break, and if I don't like anything, I'm gonna just download it to my iPod. I'm not even trying to buy this shit. You know. Now when you look for some of those albums, they're like out of print.
Exactly.
You know. Katy Perry, she had blew up. You know, with I kissed the girl. I remember that shit was like everywhere.
And she was originally like a Christian artist.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Her name was like Catherine Hudson or some shit.
Wow. And she went bad. She became a bad girl and she blew up.
She became Katie.
Crazy, yo. Yep. I don't know. Like Rihanna, I remember when Rihanna was out. I wasn't big into Rihanna. Like I knew some of her hits, but I never like was like, oh, I gotta go buy her album. And same thing with Chris Brown. I knew his hit songs, but I didn't like rush to get his albums. You know, it was a weird time for music. Really weird time for music.
Yeah, the Napster era.
Yeah, I wasn't with it. The shit I was buying was like the old school shit that I still get, like the shit that I didn't get a chance to get. But I was like the new stuff. I was like, yo, it might be like one or two artists that I was checking for, like Ti. At that time, I was like, yes, I got to get Ti's album, and I was still listening to Usher when he was still doing good music, but the rest of them, I was like, shit, I ain't running to get Neo's new album. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hell no, you know. John Legend, like I like John Legend, but I wasn't rushing to get his albums.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember I was at FYE when Revolver came out. I remember seeing the Revolver post in the store. I'm like, it was okay. The song he did with Andre was cool, but I was like, I wasn't like really big on his stuff like that. You know, really weird time for music.
Yeah, man. Music has just come a long way, for
Yeah,
better or for worse.
definitely, definitely. I think they had to go through that little period to weed out the bad shit, and you know, and the new shit started coming in like in the 2010s, and I think it got better.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm actually about to end this off for the night.
All right.
Cause I know how skinny y'all is with this bullshit.
Yeah.
But this has been real as usual. Stay tuned next week as we talk about Lena James Unsung. Um, maybe I'll get into her music. Maybe I'll pre-listen some of her shit. Who knows?
Right.
This tonight, the Dr. Dre beat battle is tonight.
Yes. Yes.
I cannot wait. My homeboy's gonna come over too because he wants to watch it.
All right.
So yeah, man. Hope you have a good night, bro.
All right. You too, man.
Peace.
Peace.